Audi's new A6 is here and ready to do battle with the BMW 5 Series and Mercedes-Benz E-Class. But is this brand new model now better than those two of its fiercest rivals? That's what we're here to find out. So a quick word on the looks first. Now, it's not a massive departure from the previous A6, although some would argue that's not a bad thing. And while Audi design never tends to deliver any major surprises, they do, in fairness, tend to age quite well. And this should stay looking fresh well into the next decade and beyond. There have been a few token tweaks. It's got a wider, more aggressive grille. I don't think I've ever done an Audi review where I haven't said those words. Then around the side, you've got this new brake in the crease. And there's now a more subtle shape to the rear, which I actually think is a bit of a pity. I did prefer the more pronounced spoiler of the previous model. And the dimensions in general aren't quite as striking as those of the A7, but overall, as a package, I think it looks pretty smart. The boot at 530 litres is exactly the same as a 5 Series, although a little bit shy of the E-Class. But really, there's not a huge amount of difference here between the three. And they're all hampered by the same issue of being a saloon, which might give it a really nice, sleek look, but is never going to be as practical as a hatchback. So I'm not a big fan of saloons, as you might have guessed. I just don't get them. And I have a dog, so that kind of rules them out for me. But as saloons go, this one is fine. There's no big load lip to lug stuff over. You've got a couple of tether points there if you ever need to tie anything down. And then the rear seats fold flat if you ever need to extend that boot capacity. Space in the back is generous, except for this absolutely massive lump in the floor, which makes the middle seat more or less unusable, except for maybe a very small child. Though to be fair, that is a problem it shares with its competitors, and it seems that German premium executive car designers have no love for middle seat passengers. Instead, the focus seems to be on comfort for the other two, which is fair enough. Headroom is very good, legroom is generous. I've got a little magazine holder here and a pull-down centre armrest. Although this does confuse me a bit because you've got some storage here, but for what you're going to fit in there, I don't really know. And then surely this should have been a cup holder instead of a big lump of plastic. The front of the A6 is a technological masterpiece. Is that a bit too dramatic? It's pretty impressive in the front. This dual screen setup combined with a seamless dashboard integration and top quality materials makes for, in my opinion, one of the best interiors on the market at the moment. It's very, very similar to what we've already seen on the new A7 and A8, and it works just as well here. And that is actually a lot more straightforward to use than it might look. So you've got the top screen for all your infotainment stuff, and then the bottom screen is mainly used to control your temperature and seat settings. Now, I don't usually like using a touchscreen for that stuff, but because it offers haptic feedback and you can leave this display up all the time, I don't find it as distracting as I do in some others. You can also use this pad as a touchpad to enter letters of a sat-nav destination or contact in your phone book in a hurry. And that actually works quite well, and even manages to recognise my left-handed chicken scroll. Then, as if it needed more screens, this one has also been specced with Audi's virtual cockpit, which is a must-have option on this car. You can get it as part of a technology pack, which will also add wireless phone charging, an upgraded sat-nav system and reversing camera for a premium of about €3,000. And to be honest, you might as well just add that cost onto the base price, because not to spec this would be a crime. It would be great if it was standard, of course, but that's not the Audi way, unfortunately. The entry price for the SE model is just under €51,000, and that comes with as much kit as you would rightly expect for that price tag, including 18-inch alloy wheels, LEDs, full leather upholstery, this dual screen setup, and a good range of safety kit, including Audi Pre-Sense Front, which can detect and prevent a forward collision by automatically applying the brakes. That also helped to score the full 5 stars on the Euro NCAP safety test. A great many buyers will still choose to upgrade to this sporty S-Line trim, which adds mainly styling upgrades including 19-inch alloy wheels, LED matrix headlights, S-Line sports seats and sports suspension. S-Line starts at €55,000, but by the time you add your tech pack and metallic paint, you're looking at about €60,000 all in for this model. So the next decision you'll need to make will be the engine. Now this is the entry point to the range, which is the 40 TDI, a 2-litre, 204 brake horsepower front-wheel drive diesel. The 45 TDI gets 230 brake horsepower and quattro 4-wheel drive. Then at the top of the range at the moment is the 286 brake horsepower 50 TDI, and that's also a quattro. Now if you're confused by Audi's new naming strategy, so are we. But if you'd like to see me try to explain it, you can watch our A7 video. Anyway, this 40 TDI is the most sensible and economic choice. It costs €200 a year to tax, and Audi claim 4.7 litres per 100 kilometres is possible. Now that will depend very much on how you drive it, of course, and the A6 will be most at home, making short work of longer distances cruising down the motorway. Like the A8, the A6 also has a mild hybrid system, which allows the car to recuperate energy from the braking, store it, and then use it to power the car in certain circumstances, like when cruising or decelerating, thus saving you some money on fuel. In terms of handling, the A6 is more or less exactly what you'd expect, which is a big, soft, luxurious lump. Now, it's not the most exciting drive in the world, but it is incredibly refined. It's pin drop quiet in the cabin, and even with the stiffer sport suspension on this one, it absolutely flat irons the road surface for you so that nothing upsets this very relaxing cockpit. And cockpit is actually a good way to describe it because it does feel quite airplane-like with all these screens. Now, the 5 Series is a more engaging car to drive, there's no two ways about it. And that's not just because this one is front-wheel drive. I also find the steering a little bit on the light side no matter which driving mode I have it in. And there does seem to be the slightest hesitation on startup from that S-Tronic gearbox, which in all other circumstances is great, it's really smooth and all the rest. So it's not perfect, but it is really soft and luxurious and the type of car that you really look forward to getting into, especially on these dark winter evenings. So to summarise and come back to our original question, is it now the best of them all? Well, in my opinion, despite those few niggles I mentioned, yes it is. For tech fans in particular, I reckon this is going to be the most impressive cabin on the market for quite some time. And it's also where you're going to be spending the majority of your time. However, next week I am reviewing possibly one of the only cars that might give it a run for its money in this department. And if you'd care to wager a little bet on what that might be, please do so in the comments section below. Please like and share if you enjoyed the video, and if you'd like to see more like it, hit subscribe.